We're now with the Historical Commission, and Tim, if you could introduce yourself, your colleagues, and then make whatever budget presentation you'd like to make.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Deputy Mayor Hino, Director Riebling. I appreciate this opportunity. I'm Tim Walker, the Director of the Metro Historical Commission and Metro Historic Zoning Commission. And to my left is our Administrative Assistant, Yvonne Ogren. And behind me are many members of both the Metro Historical Commission and Metro Historic Zoning Commission. Go ahead and mention them by name. They're Jim Forkham, Monet Bell, Jim Hubler, Lynn McDonald, Don Cusick, Lula Brooks, Mark Rogers, David Curry, Aaron Coburg, Sam Champion, Richard Fletcher, Bob Allen, and Vice Mayor George Cate. I also like to mention that Sanford Payton with the Sons of the American Revolution is also here. Our department has had a number of accomplishments over the past year, and I just wanted to highlight a few of them for you. We sponsored our second annual Old House Fair and co-sponsored the 32nd annual African American History and Culture Conference with Tennessee State University, both of which had record-breaking attendances last year. We held our 37th annual Preservation Awards program. We approved and installed 5 new historic markers and supported 2 nominations to the National Register of Historic Places. We've sponsored or co-sponsored more than 24 history programs and tours throughout the year, and we partnered with the Davidson County historian, Dr. Carol Busey, to sponsor local classes on Nashville history, which were titled Know Nashville. And just so you know, that's K-N-O-W and not the other way. We're also completing a new brochure in which we've partnered with several nonprofits and institutions that tells Nashville's Civil War story through the eyes of those who lived here during that time. And jointly with Metro Parks, we've begun working with a firm to complete a historic structures report for Fort Negley. We're in the final throes of forming a friends group for the fort, and we're beginning the reconstruction of Fort Nashboro. We continue to work with Metro agencies to evaluate and protect our county's historic resources, most visibly through the Metro Planning Commission's 2040 General Plan Update, in which we co-authored a white paper on historic preservation that will be published next month, through MDHA's redevelopment district design review process, and through capital improvement projects with Metro Parks, General Services, Metro Schools, and Public Works. We also continue to partner with local nonprofits to promote tourism and our 6 cities' rich history, architecture, and culture by co-sponsoring events such as the Nashville City Cemetery's Living History Tour, Memorial Day Dash and their monthly history walks, the Tennessee Historical Society's State History Day in conjunction with Metro Schools, fall festivals at Nashville Zoo's historic Grassmere Farm and at the Association for the Preservation of Tennessee Antiquities Buchanan Log House, Germantown's Oktoberfest, and events at Two Rivers Mansion in Fort Negley with their prospective friends groups. Before I discuss our challenges, I just wanted to quickly note a few upcoming events that we're involved in. And the first is on April 6th. Coming up, we'll be co-hosting the History Tent at the Metro 50 celebration on the Public Square lawn, which runs from noon to 3 p.m. The following Saturday on April 13th from 8:30 to noon, we'll host our 3rd annual Civil War Sesquicentennial Symposium at Holy Trinity Church in South Nashville. And finally, on Tuesday, May 21st, at Glen Levin Mansion, we'll begin a monthly Civil War lecture series, which will rotate to a different Civil War site each month. Moving on to the budget. In the coming budget year, I'm anticipating several challenges for our department due to lack of funds and staff. Not only as we continue to plan history-related events and educational programming, but also as property owners seek to expand historic zoning to new areas. Over the past 5 years, we've lost a staff position while our workload has significantly increased, not only due to the work and expanded offerings of the Metro Historical Commission, but also due to the popularity of historic zoning, a tool that manages and promotes growth while protecting our city's architectural character. Over the past 5 years, the programming offered by the Metro Historical Commission has tripled. And during that time, the number of properties reviewed by the Metro Historic Zoning Commission has increased by over 50%, with the designation of 8 new districts and the expansion of 2. In addition, the number of projects reviewed and permitted has increased by over 80%. Although we continue to look for ways to make this process more efficient, and the turnaround for review and permitting of work by the staff is being impacted by the increased workload. Moving on to the budget reduction. To meet the proposed 2% reduction, we would reduce our staff position by 20%, a single staff position, and we reduce our operating budget by $2,800 through cuts to printing and through savings in utilities. And in closing, as always, we continue to look for ways to reduce cost and work more effectively while providing quality service to residents as we work to preserve our history, our neighborhoods, and our significant places. Thank you.
Okay. What do you see as the main challenges that the Historical Commission faces and the city faces in terms of preservation? I mean, what is the biggest challenge?
Well, it's interesting with two commissions whose general mission is the same, but who one more educational advocacy and the other a commission that reviews work, not unlike codes or planning. There are different kinds of challenges. The Historical Commission, again, has been just so active over the last few years with the number of programs, the partnering we've done with both universities and nonprofits in the city to provide more education to Nashvillians and tourists alike. We've revised over the last 5 years, we revised 6 different brochures that we had put out, bring those up to date and provide valuable information. At the same time, historic zoning has become such a valuable tool for council people and neighborhoods and areas of the city, property owners, that we're continuing to be bombarded with districts that want to expand. Councilman Westerholm approached me about expansions in the Eastwood District and the Laughlin Springs District. Councilman McGuire has approached me about a new district in South Nashville along Woodmont. And then Council Lady Allen has approached us about expanding the Belmont-Hillsborough district. All of those expansions or new districts are at the request of the council people, as the property owners really want that. They see it as a way to really promote growth but manage it at the same time.
And for those expansions to take place, I mean, it requires council action.
Yes, sir, it does.
And so for the districts actually to be created, you would have to go through a process where the council would take action.
Yes, sir. They'd have to file a bill. It would go both to our commission, planning, before it comes to council for 3 readings.
Right. And how much involvement do you have in those bills?
We have a lot of involvement. We work with the council person, both in the community, both to put together design guidelines that meet state law. Legal's involved in that. We work with the council person, the property owners, to define boundaries that are contiguous, that have a concentration of historic properties. So there's a lot of involvement, a lot of education through that process, many public meetings. We always say better to have them on the front end too, rather than the back end. It makes it a lot easier process, trying to get everybody educated.
Okay. And right now you have 8 employees?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
Can you just briefly describe what they do?
There's a lot of interaction between both commissions, but generally I have a historic zoning administrator who takes charge of that program under me. This position I once had, and there are 3 other staff people that work with her. That's Robin Ziegler, historic zoning administrator. They mostly do work with the historic zoning program and work with that commission. But there is a lot of crossover. They're working in other Metro-owned sites. One of those employees took the lead with the capital budget appropriation of a few years ago, where we did over $2 million for repairs at the Nashville City Cemetery. So they do that. The other folks in the office, Yvonne wears many hats as office manager, receptionist, HR representative, safety representative. I wear many hats, as you can imagine, and the other two staff people mainly do the survey work for the Planning Commission, both for the general plan and the community plan updates. They do the Section 106 review that we do to expedite development for MDHA. We get a grant for that, but we actually haven't used that. That goes to the general fund. And those people do many of the programming we do, and of course, working with the CVB and the update of brochures and information, our website, working with different agencies, especially with Metro schools, as we're continuing to grow the State History Day and that competition among Metro schools. So very diverse amount of work.
Okay. And then, do you have any major public events planned for next year, next fiscal year?
Yes, the Sesquicentennial commemoration, that will be going on through 2015, obviously, and we're continuing to try to think outside the box and do more with the Davidson County historian through the No Nashville classes, which she plans to continue, and I'm sure there will be other things that the commission will come up with where we can interact with the public.
Okay. Rich?
Just curious on this, I can't say it.
Sesquicentennial.
Thank you.
It's a hard word.
So, is anyone really tracking that on a statewide basis? Are we seeing any increase in tourism or anything related to that we've been able to document, or is it just more a sense of it? I'm just curious more than anything else.
I haven't specifically asked, but in talking to the park staff at Fort Negley, I know attendance has increased greatly there because all over the South, and I have a commissioner who's several that are experts on that might want to chime in, but it's certainly increased. I don't know those numbers, but obviously not only our city, but the state has made a great effort to promote that.
I was just curious if anybody's really trying to track that to demonstrate it.
I'm sure it has, and
that's fine.
I can give you those numbers. I can certainly look into that for you.
The State Department of Tourism has been tracking that,
Okay.
and they've been sponsoring annual, what they call signature events. This year's is going to be at Chattanooga, and they definitely noticed an uptick in tourism through that.
Okay. Greg?
Just a quick question, Tim. You and I had talked about the maintenance at the city cemetery,
Yes, sir.
and there was sort of a new strategy regarding that. Is it off to a good start?
It is.
Okay.
It is.
That's all I need to know for now. I know it's early on, but. no,
Yes,
okay.
very happy with that. Parks does a great job of taking care of their historic sites, and they own probably more than any other apartment.
Right. Okay. That's all I got.
Then, during the course of this year, we did something with funds for a grant, right, for Fort Negley?
Yes, sir. We really appreciate that. You made available some money, and that's what's paying for the Fort Negley Historic Structures Report.
And what's the status of that?
The firm is, hopefully we're in negotiation, and we'll have a contract hopefully next week, and they'll begin work immediately. They're on a very short timeline due to the grant ending date, so that will be complete by the end of this year.
Actually, one other thing I thought about, Tim, why don't you update everybody just briefly on what's going to take place at Fort Nashboro?
Yes. Thanks to you, Mayor and Council, you appropriated $1 million for Fort Nashboro. The Parks Department employee over there, Chris Coster, has been in charge of that project. Contract was approved last week, and the first meeting to kick that off is next Friday. And they're going to hit the ground running. I think there's a year timeline, but we're going to define that. They're going to begin the process of evaluating it. The fort, which has been there since the early 1930s, was substantially repaired in the 60s, and unfortunately they put creosote, which was thought to be just a good wood preservative on everything, and that's why if you've been, you know how it smells, and it's not very kid-friendly or people-friendly. That's now a dangerous material, so to speak, so a hazardous material, so to speak. So in reconstructing, it'll be a better environment, and we can bring it up to date, provide modern amenities, and rethink how we interpret the site, make it more friendly to the public. Again, I think there's a capital spending request for an additional amount of money. The original bid to reconstruct was just over $1.5 million, so not all of the money was allocated in last year's budget, but the hope is that the rest will be allocated so we can complete that project, because we're certainly going to be starting it.
Good. Okay, well, thank you, and thanks to the commission members. I know this is a commission filled with people who are very passionate about this subject and care a lot about Nashville and Nashville's history, and I think I've had the good fortune to attend many of your events and enjoyed them all. And this has been a historic year for Nashville. We celebrated our 50th anniversary of Metro government too, and I know Mr. Cate in particular has been one of the 3 chairs of that effort, and that kind of winds up in April. So we're looking forward to the big celebration of Courthouse Square for that. But I, applaud your work and all you're doing, and we'll do the best we can with what we got, and definitely appreciate everything you all do. And I want to recognize Councilman Stein, who's joined us too. All right, thank you.
Thank you.